Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Plenty more roster rumours emerging overnight, and Shotzzy decided to turn on his stream, can you believe it, in the wake of OpTic Texas' roster potentially getting leaked last night. He definitely gives some indication, as he usually does on stream, that this Pred Drazah thing is a highly likely possibility, and even Pred gets the stream on and says that by the time you guys are seeing this video, he may well already have put pen to paper with the contract. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Firstly, the Seattle Surge, absolute squad wipe here. They've got rid of everybody, not just their players, their coach as well. Phoenix is moving on and parting ways with the organization. We also get Accuracy, of course, he's going to be gone. Now look, could he return as a player or potentially as a coach? Maybe it's time for Accuracy to step into that role. Look, I think Accuracy would be a fantastic coach. To be honest, I thought he might well consider doing it after last season, and I think at some point he will have the thought about that. But if he still wants to play, I think he still can play at a competitive level with a good team around him. Whether he's going to be able to form that team though anywhere, because, you know, is he going to be stuck? Does he want to stuck like playing for minimum salary on like a bad organization? Maybe not. So I think there's some questions to be raised there. Mack has also been released as well. Not to say they couldn't bring him back, because I definitely think Mack is still a player with some promise. Yes, he had a difficult season for sure, but I still think there's a player in there with Mack. So we'll see what happens with that, but they've released him, and of course Sib is gone as well. We don't know what the future is for Sib, because the FaZe situation right now is very much in flux. There were some rumours emerging last night that potentially FaZe had found a way to get Scrappy off Ultra, but I seemingly doubt that a little bit, just because we haven't heard anything to that effect. And would Envoy be very keen to join Ultra and take up their offer, especially when Ronnie actually said on Reddit last night that Ultra's offer to Envoy was less than Boston's, i.e. less money. So Envoy, you'd think, would only choose the Toronto thing if that's going to be the significantly better team and maybe having a chance to play with Scrap. So I don't think FaZe will be able to get that done, but there is a chance with Priestahh and the subliners. We'll talk about that here in a second. But Sib is gone as well, and then of course the big one really being Pred, letting Pred go officially. This, to me, again, is just pretty hilarious, right? Because we talked about it earlier in the season. They had an offer from, at least based on our understanding, at least 500 grand. OpTic wanted to get Pred out of the team because Scump was going to retire. They wanted Pred. He was their target. He wanted to join them. 500k, 700k. We don't really know what the specific figure was, but from our understanding, it was something in that ballpark. They said, no, we don't want your money, OpTic. And okay, they've probably got plenty of money. They're a big organization, but still, they decided to keep Pred around. Maybe their team culture was hurt negatively as a result of that. There's certainly been some talk from Karma and others that that was the case over the past few months. They win nothing, let's be honest. They were a bad team pretty much the entire season. Yes, top 4 at champs, well done, but they barely even made it to champs. It relied Vegas losing to the subliners as they did at Major 5 for Seattle Surge to even qualify for the World Championship, despite the good start to the season they had at Major 1. So, and then after all that, Pred just leaves for free anyway. So, you know, you played yourself, I think, as far as I'm concerned. And then we even get this from Revan, their general manager, also saying that all of the contracts have run their course. So I believe even their search and destroy guy, Equip, he will also be looking for new opportunities here. So a complete wipe from Surge. Now, we don't know whether they're going to try and move to Vancouver. There was some talk about that. They might just be wiping everything to completely rebuild, whether, like, what the contracts are going to look like there, because Surge were one of the highest paying organizations year 1 of the league. They paid that terrible team they had a lot of money, and they quickly realize that's not a sustainable option, especially when, you know, the team wasn't particularly good, let's say. So maybe they're going to go down the Vegas Legion route now. I'm not sure, but Surge might be moving around in terms of where they actually are even located next year, and it might be some time until we start to see players get linked to that organization, especially when they've got a full rebuild to do with coaching stuff and everything as well. Now, speaking of a full rebuild, potentially this could be a plug-and-play team of 4 that organizations will be looking at. So we saw yesterday this iLLeY, Awakening and Huke trio, and there's some debate whether that's good or bad, but apparently the 4th that's being considered, and I heard about this potentially as well, is Standy as the 4th man here. iLLeY, Awakening, Huke and Standy. Interesting team. I don't hate it. I'm not sure I massively like it. I think that they'd be very good online. LAN, I'm not so sure. Standy and Huke, certainly from an SMG perspective, has a high ceiling, but pretty inconsistent. So I think it could be a valuable option for sure. And of the SMG talents that are remaining around the league, like Standy's got to be one of the best of them, right? Because a lot of the top guys are locked up already, it seems, by the top teams, and we'll get into that in a second. I do wonder which organization, let's say this is a team of 4, iLLeY, Awakening, Huke and Standy, where would they go? Obviously, we've just mentioned Surge as a possibility. I think that potentially I'd be interested to see if iLLeY was to team up again with Rambo from a coaching perspective, because I don't know how well things ended with Huke, for example, like Huke and Rambo on the Dallas Empire days. I don't know if that ended particularly well, but I'm sure they could work it out. Huke's a good guy, and Awakening could probably benefit from some sort of more structured environment that Rambo might bring. And Rambo's been linked to certainly the Minnesota Rokkr. I've heard discussions about that, but G2 are coming in. Maybe they change their mind on that, but that's just one to look at, right? Maybe Rambo coaches somewhere and then these guys come along for the ride. But I can't help but feel that Rambo would be losing his mind at some of the decision making from Standy and Huke if that was to be an SMG duo here. There was also this from Ghosty, who played both with Simp, aBeZy and also JoeDeceives last night on stream. And maybe people think, oh, all right, here we go, Ghosty to FaZe, here we go. And it could be possible. I'm not sure that it is, but I'm not sure that it will happen. But there are options there for FaZe, and I don't know if they will be so keen, because if they can't get Drazah, and maybe they come back to Drazah now and they say, hey, look, we're going to double your salary, like, please join us, we need you type thing, and then maybe he goes to join FaZe instead of OpTic. That is far from locked in right now. The OpTic Pred thing, I think, feels almost guaranteed. The OpTic Drazah thing is definitely not a lock-in yet, from our understanding, but also there's potentially Priestahh. Now, the rotations, this is what I was talking about in last night's video, right, and I hadn't heard the specific player, but I guessed it was Priestahh, and then the rotations say, that sources say that talks between Preston, Priestahh, and the subliners have been rocky, and he's basically getting screwed. So what they mean here is lowballed, right? They've come back to him and said, hey, we'll get you a new contract, but you're going to be getting paid less salary than you were previously, and I think they're going to be bumping Kismet up. That's the understanding, that Kismet will get a bit of a buff in his salary, and therefore Priestahh gets a nerf in his salary. And does Priestahh want that? Does he feel disrespected? Because, look, you just won the World Championship for this team, and now they're trying to re-sign you on a lower contract deal. I'd feel, you know, not particularly happy about that. And then if Priestah's played with those FaZe guys before on the Atlanta FaZe team of Modern Warfare, he might be considering things. So I still think it's the most likely possibility that they stick it out. But Priestahh could be a target for FaZe if they wanted him. And I actually think Priestahh would do a lot of what they would need in that particular role. And they've got experience with him, successful experience in fairness in the past, a few years ago, back in the Modern Warfare 2019 season. So that's definitely a possibility. Civ is another one, Ghosty is another one, maybe Scrappy, but that seems doubtful on what we saw over the last couple of days. Speaking of this whole contract stuff, I thought this is funny. So Standy's mother comes onto Twitter and says, I'll be damned if, you know, any of these officers try and screw over Standy here out of the contract that he deserves. And then he drops the please stop using Twitter in the replies, and then his poor mum deactivated her account after this, which I thought was pretty, you know, he could have said this in private. I believe they deleted all this afterwards. But still, I thought this was pretty funny, to be fair. I felt a bit bad for her, but in fairness, like, esports parents just go absolutely hog wild on Twitter all the time, so I don't blame Standy for giving these thoughts across when he needs to get a contract locked down at the moment, and no distraction, I suppose, is welcome. Let's talk about the OpTic stuff then, right? So last night we saw the rumours that Pred is very likely headed to OpTic Texas. Drazah is expected, maybe 60-70% chance, maybe more, but it's not guaranteed, and FaZe, if they have no other options left, might just go all out to try and get Drazah, right? And until the contract is signed, you never fully know what is happening here. I also will say this, though, that Joke comes out with pretty funny last night, right, from OpTic fans to do the Drazah apology form, you know, apologies Drazah, I don't know ComCon, I was jealous, etc, whatever. Pretty funny. And also his girlfriend Keeks, which is where I just thought, I wasn't going to mention it, but then I thought Keeks actually liked this tweet that a couple of people noticed, and she obviously will know what's going on, right? So you think about this, and you think, all right, maybe she knows that this OpTic thing is going to happen. There was some talk, though, between Zuma and Octane that they'd found out some intel last night that implied that the Toronto Envoy thing, the Civ FaZe thing, maybe even the Scrap Toronto thing is not yet set in stone. So you know, things are still potentially in flux behind the scenes at the moment. But I will definitely share this from Shotzzy, because this guy can't help himself. I can't believe they actually allow this guy to turn on his stream. And Pred later in the night also turned on his stream, played Apex for a bit, went on an immediate 500 sub train, had like 3k viewers. Like, it's just too easy, right? The agree wall just comes different, it's got to be said. So I'll share the clip from Pred here in a second, where he says that he's signing the contract basically by now, but also this from Shotzzy, where he comments on the leakers, and he says, look, I'm not saying this is true, but how do these leakers even know about this stuff? Like, how do they find out this intel? Which, if you read a little bit between the lines, sounds to me like he's saying, damn, how do they find out?
Know this shit. I'm not saying like if it's true or false, but like even if like let's say it is true, how do they know? I don't understand that shit. Like what? How the fuck do those guys know? Like who even are they? Like, you know what I'm saying? Bro, they like hacking our phones? Like yo, let me delete who I just texted. Tell you shit. No, I'm trying. They pay money? Yo, I'm about to see, yo, CDL tell.
That's all I'm gonna say. Can't say what color. Can't say anything. No, I'm not saying like there's gonna be an announcement in 2 hours. I'm saying that I'll be putting the pen to the paper most likely within that time frame.
So I thought that was a great clip there from Shotzzy. I mean, the guy completely can't help himself, right? I mean, he comes on stream and within about 5 minutes, he's talking about, damn, how do they find out about our team type thing? Which is what it sounded like to me. Maybe Shotzzy's, you know, double bluffing here or whatever. But it's definitely a possibility, and it's definitely the most likely possibility. But as of yet, the contracts haven't necessarily been signed. Pred comes on stream, watches the process, watches the phenomenal video on the Breaking Point channel that the boys put together, like at the story of the season so far. So I think if you guys haven't checked that out, would love your feedback on it, because I think the boys did a phenomenal job putting that together. The closest thing to a Drive to Survive type thing that we can really do at the moment with the access that we have. But Pred was watching that, and there was of course a part of that where Pred and OpTic, the discussions are being had, and then they were put to bed. So Pred obviously didn't say on stream, like Shotzzy probably would have done if he was in the situation, which team he was joining, but he says this is, you know, of course, as of this morning my time, that within roughly 2 hours he's going to put pen to paper and is going to sign the deal, which would make it that by the time this video is going live for you guys, the Pred might well have signed the contract already. So it means he's got the contract, reviewing terms and everything, and getting it locked in. So you'd think this has got to be OpTic, right? I can't see another reality at the moment. Maybe he's double bluffing everyone, he's going to go to FaZe. If that happens, it's wild, but I don't think it is true. He even ran a poll in his chat here, maybe he did it, one of his mods did it, I don't know, and asked the question, which team is Pred joining? And 90% of people voted for OpTic, Thieves to be determined, FaZe, Ultra, etc. So you guys get the drill at this point. We'll quickly mention Thieves, just because I still haven't heard anything really about this team so far. I've heard they're looking at a few options, potentially Ghosty, potentially looking at Capsidel again, just because he was, you know, did pretty well for those guys last year, and they could bring a couple of those guys in. It's tricky for Thieves, absolutely, especially with all the top SMG talent locked up on some of the other squads, but things could still change potentially. Maybe it's time for this man to return to the starting roster, because, I mean, yeah, they might well need an OBJ SMG player to come back into the mix. But very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
I think he's
Belgian?
I think he is. I could be absolutely tweaking, but I'm pretty sure he's Belgian.
Let me see. Yeah, apparently he's yeah. I don't even know what Belgium is. Like, where's that? Where's that? Is that
yeah,
near,
actually,
like,
pull that map up and point it out for me.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna do that. I've heard of it, but I just don't know where that's at. Looking. Belgium. Dude, he's in Belgium? That's in Europe, it says.
Belgium.
Isn't that what we're talking about?
We'll give Ed a geography.
Damn, this guy's rich then, dude. Look at that. Bro, Belgium looks insane.
Wait. Standy tweeted at his mom, please stop using Twitter.
Wait, that's funny.